You know that person who cries when they step on a bug, but didn't cry at their own grandmother's funeral? The one who plans 5 backup routes for a 10-minute drive, but stays weirdly calm when their entire life falls apart? Yeah, they've been through something. Not a bad breakup, not a rough semester. I'm talking about the kind of experiences that permanently rewire your nervous system, and nobody really talks about what that does to a person. So, let's talk about it. Here's the part most people don't get. Trauma doesn't make people one way, it splits them. Some people come out softer, hyper empathetic, emotionally tuned in, crying at sunsets and rescuing spiders. Others come out harder, numb, detached, emotionally armored. Same trauma, different survival strategies. And sometimes you're both. Same person, different days. Let's start with the soft ones. These are people who've been through hell and somehow kept their heart intact, barely. They read rooms instantly. They catch tone shifts you didn't know you made. They sense pain before it's spoken. But here's the contradiction. They'll spiral over tiny decisions, what mug to use, what text to send, while staying calm about massive life uncertainty. Why? Because they learned early that big chaos is uncontrollable, but small things, those feel manageable. That anxiety over small stuff isn't weakness, it's a survival strategy. Now, the hard ones, the people who had to keep functioning while everything burned. They're not cold, they're compartmentalized. Their emotional circuit breaker flipped off years ago. They're not here to guide anyone through storms. They're warning signs that say, this is what happens when life hits too hard for too long. They don't grieve lost innocence. They stop expecting anything at all. But here's what both types share: the performance. They're incredible at looking fine. They show up, they're competent, they function. And then they get home and collapse like a puppet with cut strings. Real exhaustion isn't doing nothing. It's using 90% of your energy just to seem normal. Every interaction is calculated. Every sentence is filtered. Am I too much, too distant, too honest, too guarded? And they're usually wrong about which one. There's a grief underneath all of this that nobody names. Not grief for someone else, grief for who they used to be. The version that trusted easily, laughed freely, didn't scan every room for exits. They're homesick for a version of themselves they barely remember. And that grief doesn't destroy them, it reshapes them. Quieter, more careful, more intentional. Ever notice how trauma survivors cry over hurt animals but stay numb around hurting people? That's not random. Animals are safe places to feel. They won't manipulate your vulnerability. They won't weaponize your softness later. That's not emotional dysfunction. That's strategic empathy. They've learned where it's safe to care. Relationships are where it gets messy. Trauma survivors are fiercely loyal to the few they choose, show up at 3 a.m. loyal, defend you like a guard dog loyal. But ask them to need something? Suddenly they're fine, independent, self-sufficient. They'll call it strength, but it's fear, because needing people once came with a cost they can't afford to pay again. Why do some people need to sit facing the door? Why do they notice everything? That's not paranoia. That's a nervous system that learns safety is temporary. Their brain is running threat detection 24/7. No off switch, no relief shift. And no, they can't just relax. Their body doesn't remember how. Then there's the dark humor, the jokes that make people uncomfortable. That humor isn't cruelty, it's survival. If you can laugh at what tried to break you, it loses some of its power. But it comes with a cost, because most people aren't fluent in that language, so they learn to code switch, always slightly out of sync. Here's something we don't say enough. Not everyone grows from trauma. Some people don't become inspirational success stories. Some people just survive, and survival isn't pretty, and that still counts. Resilience isn't the only acceptable outcome. If you see yourself in this, hear this clearly. You're not broken. You're adapted. Your nervous system did exactly what it needed to do to keep you alive. Healing isn't about going back. That person doesn't exist anymore. It's about integration, keeping the wisdom without carrying every wound. And yeah, healing is uncomfortable, but staying in survival mode forever, that's not living. So, here's the truth about people who've survived too much. Some are soft, some are numb, some are both, depending on the day. They're not all lighthouses. Some are warning signs, but they're still here, still trying. And whatever version of survival you're living, it counts. If this resonated, subscribe. And if you're one of us, take care of yourself today. You already survived the hardest part. Now comes learning how to live.